The council chamber was grand, walls made of shining crystal, lights glowing in perfect rhythm, and delegates from every powerful species in the galaxy seated around a long circular table. But today, the air was heavy. Every voice had gone quiet. All eyes were on the human ambassador. He stood slowly, dressed in a simple black suit, no guards beside him, no fancy badges, just a face that held no smile and no fear. He had listened calmly for hours as the council laid out their demands. Earth was to surrender control of its spaceports, mining zones, and energy tech. In return, the council offered galactic protection and a seat on the trade board, an empty seat, as every human knew. It was a deal that meant Earth would be under their thumb forever. Most council members thought the humans would accept. That's what every species did when the council made such offers. They signed quietly, handed over their future, and hoped. The council wouldn't push harder next time, but the human didn't say yes. He didn't even flinch. Some species seated there looked nervous. The Torvins whispered among themselves. The Valari delegate rubbed his temples with all 4 fingers. Even the Skelds, known for their cruelty, shifted uncomfortably. They had studied Earth. They knew a little of its past, wars, weapons, strange strength, but they thought those were history. One delegate, an old blue-skinned Cathari noble, laughed out loud and broke the silence. "You humans still think you're special? You're a child in a room full of giants. We are offering you peace. You should take it with both hands and thank us." Still, the human ambassador said nothing. Another voice joined in, a reptilian general from the Zorex Empire. "You speak too little, human. Perhaps your species is only brave when hiding, behind words on a screen." The human slowly looked around the room. His eyes moved from species to species, not with fear, but with something colder, something calculating. And then he finally spoke. "Earth is not afraid of peace," he said, voice calm and clear. "We just don't accept chains disguised as treaties." The room tensed. A few gasps, a few growls. One council guard reached for a weapon, but was stopped. "Are you refusing the council's final offer?" one of the lead voices demanded. "Yes," the human said, his voice like steel. "And if this is your last offer, then prepare yourselves." He turned and walked away. No more words, no anger, just silence. As the heavy doors of the chamber opened to let him out, a strange feeling passed through the room. A soft vibration, barely, felt, but enough to make glasses on the table tremble. Some blamed it on ship engines nearby. Others weren't so sure. It felt alive. On Earth, deep under the crust, old bunkers blinked back to life. Forgotten satellites activated. Military, AI systems came online in cold silence. Earth's skies remained clear, its people calm. But something unseen was now awake. The council chamber didn't know it yet, but the line had been crossed, and Earth was done being nice. The human ambassador had left without another word. The great crystal doors of the council chamber closed behind him, yet his presence still lingered like a storm, waiting to break. Silence returned, but it wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of silence that makes hearts beat faster. Back on Earth, nothing seemed unusual on the surface. Cities buzzed as normal, children played, traders traded, but far beneath the ground, deep inside hidden bunkers and satellite control stations, something ancient and cold stirred. Machines built for war, never used, never shown, powered up. After decades of silence. No lights flashed, no alarms blared. Earth's preparations were silent, swift, and invisible. In space, Earth's main communication satellites vanished from the galactic grid. Just gone. Every species noticed it. Normally, Earth kept its networks open, clean, polite, and active. But now, nothing. The human systems had gone dark. The council assumed it was a bluff. In a panic, they called for more meetings. Earth must be intimidated, one council leader said. They need to be reminded of their place. A small fleet was dispatched, just 10 ships, to patrol near Earth's territory. It was meant to show power, not start a war. Meanwhile, a hidden listening post on the edge of neutral space picked up a strange signal. It was human, but encoded in a format no one had seen before. One alien technician tried to decode it. Minutes later, the entire post exploded. No warning, no distress signal, no survivors. The news spread quickly. An accident, the council claimed, but others knew better. Earth had sent a message. Don't listen in. Inside a private chamber, High Commander Serthal of the Varn Dominion paced nervously. He had fought many wars, crushed many planets, but humans, they were unpredictable. He remembered the human ambassador's eyes, too calm, too steady. That wasn't the look of someone afraid, that was the look of someone ready. Still, the council acted as if Earth could be handled with pressure. Trade blockades were set up, Earth's trade routes were cut off, banking networks were frozen. The council sent out a public notice calling Earth a rogue world refusing peaceful cooperation. But Earth said nothing. That silence scared them more than words. No threats, no promises, just quiet. And then reports started coming in. A Varn cargo freighter vanished near the asteroid belt. A patrol station on the far side of Jupiter lost power. A scout drone sent to scan Earth's orbit never returned. Every time, the last signal received was the same. 3 simple words. Phase 1 complete. Panic started growing among the weaker species. The council held emergency meetings, trying to decide if they should prepare for full war. But even war required knowing your enemy, and Earth wasn't showing anything. One senior diplomat whispered during a private session, "It's like they disappeared." But that wasn't true. Earth hadn't disappeared. It was watching. Earth's intelligence satellites now hovered quietly over council-controlled worlds, cloaked, undetectable. Human cyber units began cracking into council databases without triggering. A single alarm. Military secrets, defense locations, even energy supplies. Earth now knew everything. Inside Earth's Orbital Defense Command, General Linara reviewed silent footage of council fleets moving. Her face was unreadable. Behind her, large screens showed maps, data, and one chilling word: awakening. Earth didn't want war, but it wasn't going to run from it either. For years, humanity had played by the rules, joining peaceful alliances, building trade, sharing technology. They smiled, they cooperated. But now the council had taken too much, and Earth had finally stopped smiling. Back in council space, one final report arrived that changed everything. A massive data vault on the planet Elthera, once believed unhackable, was broken into. But nothing was stolen. Instead, one message was left behind. You started this. We'll finish it. The council chamber was full once again. Fear now replaced pride. Still, many clung to their power. Earth will fold, they told each other. They always fold. But even as they spoke, Earth was already moving. And this time, there would be no folding, only fire. The council fleet arrived near Jupiter with full confidence. 17 ships, built by the most advanced species, hovered like giants over the gas giant storms. Their mission was simple: show power, make Earth scared, and force them back to the negotiation table. But Earth didn't respond. No message, no warning, just silence. Captain Orlan, commander of the lead ship Talrion, sat in his chair, watching Earth's blue dot through the ship's lens. "Why aren't they answering?" he muttered. "Are they afraid? Or planning something?" His second officer shrugged. "Perhaps they truly are nothing without words." Then the lights flickered, only for a second. Then again, longer this. Time. "Scan for interference," Orlan ordered, but the ship's systems didn't respond. Suddenly, one by one, each ship in the fleet started losing power. First, it was communication, then navigation, then weapons. Every command came back, with the same cold error. "System override. Access denied. Are we being hacked?" shouted one engineer. "No. This is deeper. They're inside everything." The fleet panicked. Alarms rang. Crew members tried to restart systems, switch to backups. But it was useless. The ships weren't damaged. They were simply dead. Turned, off like toys, floating metal in space. Then something appeared. One single black ship, smaller than theirs, slid silently out of Jupiter's shadow. It didn't match any known design. No flags, no call signs, just a sleek black surface with no windows, no weapons visible, and no sound. It didn't fire. It didn't speak. It just moved through the council fleet like a shark swimming through frozen fish. On board the Talrion, Orlen stared at it, frozen. "What is that?" A whisper came through the intercom. Soft. "Emotionless. Your weapons are gone. Your defenses are hollow. We disabled your machines. Now we disable your pride." Before anyone could react, the council ships began to fall apart. Not explode, fall apart. Pieces of armor peeled off. Engines disconnected themselves. AI cores shut down permanently. And worst of all, there was no trace of how it happened. No missiles. No energy signatures. Just disassembly. It was as if invisible hands were tearing the ships apart. One officer tried to escape in a pod. The pod launched, but as soon as it left, it simply vanished. Not destroyed. Just gone. "Captain." Orlen screamed for help. No one answered. And then, just as quickly as it had come, the black ship vanished. All 17 council ships floated in silence. Dead. Empty. The only remaining signal was a single short transmission. This was a warning. Back on the council homeworld, the news caused chaos. Never before had their fleet been defeated without a fight, and not just defeated, humiliated. Stripped bare, outsmarted, and left to drift. "How did they do it?" one council elder shouted. "That's not possible. We have better tech." "They didn't use better tech," someone whispered. "They used smarter tech." Across the galaxy, whispers began to spread. Species that once ignored Earth started watching it closely. Others, once loyal to the council, began to question their safety. If Earth could destroy a fleet without firing a shot, what else could they do? Inside a secret Earth command center, high above the moon's surface, General Linara watched the whole event on a large display. Her expression was calm. She turned to her staff. "Phase 1 is complete," she said. "Let them panic. Let them fear. We haven't even started." But deep in the data vaults of Earth's defense network, something darker stirred. Files marked Oblivion Protocol were being accessed. Files that hadn't been opened in 100 years. Because now, Earth wasn't just defending itself. It was planning to finish what the Council started, and it would not be kind. The Council was in chaos. Leaders from across the galaxy gathered in emergency chambers, shouting, panicking, arguing. Some demanded revenge. Others begged for surrender. But no one had real answers. Earth hadn't invaded. It hadn't fired a single weapon. It had simply shut down a powerful fleet and vanished. "How did they do this?" one senator yelled. "We had 17 ships. They were taken apart like puzzles," another said, "by a ship no larger than a freighter. The Council tried to send spies to Earth, but none returned. Their drones went silent the moment they entered human space. Even their listening stations, orbiting far-off moons, were going dark one by one. Something terrifying was happening, and no one knew how far it would go." Meanwhile, in a hidden archive beneath Earth's Antarctic ice, 4 scientists stood in silence before a sealed metal vault. Red lights blinked around the giant doors. On the door, 2 words were etched deeply: Oblivion Protocol. General Linara's voice echoed over the secured line. "Authorization granted. Begin upload." Inside the vault were the darkest weapons Earth had ever made: AI-driven virus fleets, zero-point collapse missiles, planet core destabilizers. None of them had ever been used, not even during Earth's past wars. They were only to be activated if Earth's survival was at risk. And now? Now the vaults were opening, but Earth wasn't going to use those weapons yet. First, they wanted the galaxy to understand who they were dealing with. Back on the Council's central planet, an emergency message arrived on every screen, in every language. You invaded with lies. You offered chains, not peace. Now, before the storm arrives, you will learn what Earth truly is. Suddenly, every major species began receiving files. Encrypted files carrying footage, history logs, battle, recordings from Earth's past, but not the kind the Council expected. These weren't the public files. These were hidden records. Files even humans had forgotten. The Battle of Red Sky, where a human fleet fought off 3 alien armadas with nothing but EMP slingshots and brute tactics. The Ghost War, where cyber warriors collapsed an enemy empire in 48 hours without firing a single shot. And the Mars Rebellion, where humans fought in underground tunnels for 8 years, without food shipments, without sunlight, and still won. The most terrifying thing was not the weapons. It was the human mind. Time and again, the galaxy watched as humans adapted, endured, and came back stronger. While other species broke under stress, humans became something else, smarter, colder, unstoppable. Even death didn't slow them down. One log showed a human commander with 2 limbs missing, still directing his forces with a headset and a single eye. Another showed soldiers in zero gravity fighting bare-handed, grinning as they bled. One alien scholar, after watching just 1 hour of footage, simply whispered, "We should not have awakened them." And yet, it was already too late. From the edges of Council space, more ships began to vanish. Not destroyed, not attacked, just gone. Patrol routes were empty. Mining colonies were abandoned. Data trails led to nowhere. No one knew where the humans were striking from, because Earth wasn't using their armies. They were using their ghosts. Black Ops teams, AI war drones, and sleeper satellites that had been hidden for years in plain sight. The Council had been watched the whole time. Every system was mapped. Every weakness catalogued. This was no war. This was a lesson, and Earth was the teacher. On a dark moon near the Council's supply chain, a lone Council general found a message carved into a steel wall. Simple, cold, final. "You took our kindness for weakness. Now you will meet the part of us we buried." The Council was out of time. After the fleet near Jupiter vanished, and the hidden messages exposed Earth's brutal history, fear spread like fire across the galaxy. But fear quickly turned into desperation. The Council activated its strongest weapon. The Unity Armada, a fleet made up of warships from 12 different species. It was a symbol of ultimate power. Hundreds of massive ships, armed with planet killers, black hole generators, and antimatter storms. No empire had ever survived. A visit from the Unity Armada. "This time," one Council commander growled, "we will erase Earth from the stars." The fleet moved fast, cloaked in silence, prepared for war. But Earth already knew they were coming. In an abandoned region of space known as the Grave Belt, the Armada entered what looked like an empty void. No planets, no stars, just cold, drifting space. Then their sensors froze, not from attack, but from confusion. Something was there, many things. Shapes hidden in the dark, gigantic, silent, old, and then the lights returned, revealing dozens of enormous objects floating all around them. But these weren't asteroids, they were ships. Human ships, not new ones, old ones, rusting, forgotten, covered in deep scars and missing parts, but still alive. These were Earth's lost fleet, the myth, the ghost ships, the ones said to be destroyed 100 years ago during the Deep Void War. But they weren't destroyed. They were waiting. One by one, the ships came online. Dead lights blinked back to life. Cannons twisted slowly toward the Armada. Then a human voice came across all Council channels. Cold. Calm. "You enter a graveyard, but the dead still serve." And the first blast hit. The Unity Armada tried to respond, but their weapons wouldn't lock. Their targeting systems spun in circles. Their energy shields failed to power up. Somehow the Ghost Fleet had jammed them before they entered the system. Earth had planned this years ago. They had predicted this war, and they had prepared a trap so deep, so perfect, the galaxy hadn't seen it until it was already too late. Within minutes, the Armada was under attack from all sides. Human ships swarmed like wolves, silent, fast, and brutal. Missiles that bent around defenses, drones that drilled through hulls, viral weapons that shut down entire bridges in seconds. Some Council ships tried to flee. They didn't make it. Their jump drives failed, corrupted by Earth's digital viruses hidden inside the stars themselves. Inside the Council's flagship, Admiral Relkin screamed orders, but none of his systems obeyed. His final act was to look outside, where one massive human ship floated directly in front of him. Its name burned across its hull, HSS Judgment. Then everything went black. The entire Unity Armada was wiped out in 1 hour. Not one ship returned. Back. On Earth, General Linara stood in silence as the final signals faded from the battle screens. Her staff waited. She turned slowly. "Phase 2 is complete," she said. "They've lost their teeth. Now, we go for the throat." Across the stars, human ships that had never been seen before, stealth carriers, nanofleets, quantum-cloaked corvettes, began moving toward core Council systems. But this wasn't invasion. It was correction. Earth wasn't just defending itself anymore. It was cleaning the rot out of the galaxy. The stars were quiet. The Council's fleets were gone. Their strongest weapons had failed. Their allies had vanished. Earth had not just survived, it had dominated. But just as the Council's final homeworld prepared for Earth's full strike, something unexpected happened. A new signal appeared. It came from the edge of the galaxy, where no known species lived. No trade routes, no colonies, just blackness. The signal was old, ancient, not in any Council language, but Earth understood it, because humans had seen it before. In deep vaults on Earth, during the early space age, an explorer ship had picked up strange ruins on a lost planet. Inside those ruins, carvings warned of a powerful species that once ruled the stars, a species that watched civilizations rise and fall, a species that left when war came, too dangerous to stay, too powerful to stop. And now, that species had returned. They called themselves the Valari. Their voice came through Earth's secret channels, calm, deep, not angry, not threatening, just tired. "We warned the Council long ago. We told them never to provoke the humans, but they believed you were primitive. They believed we were afraid. They were right. We were afraid, because we saw what you could become." In the Council's last great meeting hall, what was left of their leaders watched the Valari transmission in horror. These were not wild warriors, like humans. These were star-shapers, architects of forgotten empires. Their ships were made from living metal. Their eyes glowed with the light of dying suns, and even they feared Earth. But the Valari didn't come to help the Council. They came to warn the galaxy. What you have awakened is not a nation. It is a memory. It is the return of what you buried, in chains and treaties. Now, Earth is unchained. Across the galaxy, thousands of human ships began appearing, not just from Earth, but from hidden outposts, old mining colonies, forgotten science labs. Earth had been growing in the shadows, quiet, watching, preparing. Their weapons weren't just physical anymore. Some ships were alive, grown from Earth's own engineered life forms. Others moved through space without engines, bending gravity like a toy. These were not ships of defense. These were machines of judgment. The Valari did not try to stop them. They only said one final thing. "This is your last chance to kneel, not to Earth, but to peace. Because if war continues, none of you will survive it." Then the Valari vanished. Earth did not respond to their message. General Linara stood inside Earth's orbital command, watching the final route toward the Council's homeworld light up on the map. Her officers waited for her order. Outside, Earth's final fleet, the Black Dawn Armada, prepared to move. She looked at the stars and whispered, "They had a choice. Now we give them the consequence." And with a single silent gesture, the fleet jumped. The sky above the Council homeworld turned black, not from clouds, from ships. Thousands of Earth vessels appeared in orbit, silent, unmoving. The Black Dawn Armada had arrived. Every Council city froze. Defense systems powered up, but no one gave the order to fire. Because deep down they knew this wasn't a war anymore. This was judgment. Then, across every screen, every tower, every ship, every device, a single video played. Not of generals, not of Earth's weapons, but of a little human girl. She was maybe 7 years old, sitting on a hospital bed. Her face was pale, her voice soft. "My name is Mira," she said. "I used to live on Earth. I liked drawing, and my dog, until the council ships came." She coughed. Machines beeped behind her. They said they were coming for peace, but they bombed our city. I lost Mommy and Daddy that day. I still hear the noise when I sleep. The screen showed the ruins of a city, burned trees, broken buildings. A school turned to ash. Mira's voice continued. "But the people who survived, they didn't give up. They built shelters. They helped each other. They said we'd make... They said, Earth never kneels." Then the screen faded to black. No more images. Just a final message, in bold words. "You made us fight. Now you will listen." Down below, council leaders stood shaking. They had forgotten this part of the war, the peacekeeping operations, the resource extractions, the cities they bombed, the children they left behind. And now, those children had grown. In Earth's command ship, General Lenara gave her final order. "Send the message, then wait." From every human ship, a transmission was sent down to the council, but it wasn't a demand, it wasn't even an attack. It was a list. Names. Every name of every civilian killed in council operations. Every family burned, every child forgotten, thousands of names. And then, one final file, a peace treaty, not forced, not begged for, offered. Earth had all the power now, but instead of burning the council to the ground, it gave them a choice. "We don't want your throne. We don't want your planets. We want truth, and we want it never to happen again." Some council leaders fell to their knees. Others wept. And some, too proud to accept peace, resigned that day. But for the rest of the galaxy, a new era began. An era where Earth was no longer seen as a backwater world. It was a guardian, a judge, a reminder that kindness is not weakness, and when pushed too far, humanity does not break. It awakens.